Today I'm giving you my owner perspective on the Hypermotard 950 and the 698, being an owner of both of them. Be sure to check out my full comparison video, I'll link at the end of this video, but in this one I answer some subscriber questions to help you decide which one is best for you. Let's do work. Alright guys, this is another quick conversational video here. I get a lot of questions on if you should get the 950 Hypermotard or the 698 Hypermotard, and really those are quite different bikes altogether. Really completely different riding styles. I know they're both sort of hooligan bikes, both kind of stunting bikes, but they're a night and day difference. And today we're just going to talk about that real quick. So firstly, the 698 is going to come in at a cheaper price point. I'll put the price points on screen so you can see them. It is a smaller, I hesitate to say smaller because it's a tall bike, but it's a lot lighter than the 950 is. I've owned both of these bikes. I actually traded my 950 towards this, and I can share with you just my thoughts on which one you think you should get. First of all, it depends on what your riding style is. You're going to commute with this, or you're living in the city and you're going to commute to work or wherever. In that case, I would probably recommend this because it's just lighter, easier to flick around. It's less aggressive on the torque, easier to park and just move around with your feet because it's so light. This thing weighs 333 pounds, 77.5 horsepower, just under 50 pound-feet of torque, and 333 pounds equals a lot of fun. Both of these bikes are fun. The Hypermotard 950 is fun because it just blasts you. The torque on that bike, the torque delivery is crazy. Now I had the full Termignoni system on that bike, and obviously it had the up map with it, and I always rode it in race mode. So that thing just punches you in the face every time you hit the gas. It's a blast to ride it, but it's definitely heavier than this bike. And again, it just depends. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to do stunts on this bike? Are you going to do wheelies on this bike? Or do you want to train yourself to do wheelies? If you want to train yourself to do wheelies, get this bike hands down. There's no question about it. You don't want to be blasting yourself off the back of the 950 with all that torque if you're teaching yourself how to wheelie. This bike is easier to control. It's also equally easy to even power wheelie. This bike will even coach you and even help you wheelie and help you hold a wheelie. That is, the only caveat there is if you have the Termignoni exhaust and up map, then you get that functionality. It's not available on the standard version without that exhaust and up map. So if you like to hoon around, you want to do some drifting, this bike will even help you learn how to drift. It's just incredible. There is no question about it. Get this bike instead of the 950 if you plan on being a hooligan and doing drifting or stoppies or wheelies and all that kind of stuff. Especially if you're just starting out and you want to learn that stuff. Hands down, this bike teaches you how to do it basically. It's an awesome bike for that. Don't even think about the 950. Now, if you want to enjoy the torque and you just love the feeling of getting blasted back in your seat, hands down, get the 950. That thing's power delivery is crazy. I've had tons of bikes, you guys know that. Even the Diavolo is probably one of the most powerful bikes I've ever had, the torquiest bikes. And the 950 is just, from a stop, it'll just leave anything in the dust. It's so torquey. It just blows you back in your seat. That's the best way I can describe it. I've had tons of bikes, and the 950, the way it's tuned, it's just tuned for blasting around. Hit the throttle and you will get thrown back in your seat. It's a super aggressive map on that bike. So if you want to have an all-around bike that's you're gonna race, or you want to leave someone behind, or you want to leave people in the dust at stoplights, then get the 950. That thing's fast and it will keep up with a sport bike. It'll keep up with any kind of bike. If you're gonna be commuting for long distances, I really don't recommend either of these bikes. They're not really meant for it. There's very, very minimal wind protection, but if you really, really wanted to do that, get the 950. The 950 is gonna be more stable, being heavier. It's gonna be more stable at high speeds. You may even be able to get a bigger windscreen for it to help with the wind deflection. It's going to be more powerful on the highway if you want to pass people real quick, or a truck's coming, you want to get out of the way. You just pin the throttle and the thing will get you out of the way really fast. Now that's not to say that this is not fast. This is also a fast bike. It's just under 80 horsepower. It sounds kind of weak, But at 333 pounds, this thing rips. What this bike does, unlike the 950, which will blast you backwards with torque, this bike gives you a linear power delivery. So this will pull all the way to the top RPMs. And it's even scary. Like this will rip. I'm telling you right now, I have a video on this. I'll link it at the end of this video, evaluating the speed of this bike. It's fast. It just doesn't have that massive torque that the 950 has. So if you're gonna be commuting in a city, get the 698. It's easier to manage, more controllable, just easy to flick around, a little bit smaller in terms of its footprint, so you might be able to squeeze through traffic a little bit easier on this. At least that's the way I feel when I ride it. But if you're gonna do longer commutes, you're gonna be on the highway, get the 950. Just gives you that power, that wind protection, and that longevity just to take you to your destination. If you're gonna be racing in a straight line, get the 950. It's just gonna be faster. It's gonna get there faster than this bike. All right, Ducatisti and friends, another question I got was when I traded my 950 for the 698, was it way down on power and kind of boring? Way down on power, no. Way down on torque, yes. But the linear power delivery is strong on the 698 and it keeps pulling all the way across the power band. Was it boring? Not even close. The 698 is so light and flickable, yet you sit so tall on it that it doesn't feel small. It's an exciting bike for sure. So the last question is, why am I selling mine? Even though I'm thinking of taking it off Cycle Trader and using it as a winter bike, but that's a video for another time. I have a Ducati Diavolo V4. I plan on getting a 2025 Hayabusa. So as you can see, I like big bikes in big power, in comfort. And while the 698 is comfortable as you sit in an upright position, I'm really not fully making use of it as it was intended to be used, doing wheelies, stunts, taking it on the track, and all the good stuff it was meant to be used for. And also, I'm trying to be more prudent. Anyway, if you have any questions, drop a comment below. If you're new here and you love motorcycles like we do, please subscribe, and always remember the motto, always be kind of